In a small sunny town filled with singing birds and colorful houses, there lived a man named Daniel. Daniel was a kind and hard-working man who believed that love could conquer anything. Every morning, he woke up before the sun, said a short prayer, and went to his little shop at the corner of the street. He sold handmade furniture, strong chairs, shiny tables, and beautiful wooden beds that made people smile when they saw them. Before we continue the story, please let us know the time and the country you're watching from. It means a lot to us to hear that our stories is spreading across the world, and quickly subscribe to this channel if you're yet to subscribe. We pray that God will bless you and fulfill all your heart desires as we journey together with this story. Now, Daniel had only one dream, to build a happy home. And one day, that dream seemed to come true when he met Amara. Amara was a beautiful woman with a bright smile and eyes that sparkled like morning dew. Daniel met her at a local festival. She was selling fruits, and he was carving toys for children. When their eyes met, Daniel's heart felt warm, like sunshine after rain. They talked. They laughed. And before long, they fell deeply in love. Their wedding was small but filled with joy. The choir sang, children danced, and everyone said, they are the perfect couple. Daniel believed it too. He worked harder than ever, hoping to give Amara the life she deserved, a life of peace, love, and comfort. But life doesn't always go as planned. But just when Daniel thought his story was a happy one, something happened that changed everything. Keep watching, you won't believe what his wife did next. Daniel started making more money from his furniture business. He bought a small car, then a piece of land. Amara became happier, or so Daniel thought. She smiled often, but something inside her started changing. She began wanting more. She wanted a bigger house, finer clothes, and more expensive things. Daniel didn't mind at first, he loved her and wanted to please her. But the more he gave, the more she wanted. Soon, she stopped saying thank you. She stopped helping him at the shop. She started spending more time on her phone, talking to people Daniel didn't know. Still, Daniel told himself, it's okay. Marriage is about patience. She will come around. But he was wrong. So wrong. One rainy afternoon, Daniel came home early from work, excited to surprise his wife with her favorite meal, jollof rice and fried chicken. But when he entered the house, something felt strange. The TV was off, the kitchen was empty, and Amara's bag was gone. He waited for hours. Night came. But she didn't return. When he finally reached her phone, she said coldly, Daniel, I'm not coming back. I can't live like this anymore. Those words hit Daniel like thunder. He dropped the phone and sat in silence. The rain outside felt like tears falling from the sky. He didn't understand, he had done everything for her. Amara left him. Just like that. Weeks passed, then months. Daniel tried to stay strong. But it wasn't easy. She had taken his savings, sold the car, and emptied their joint account. Everything he worked for was gone. People whispered behind his back, saying, poor Daniel, his wife used him and left. He wanted to hate her. But his heart still loved her. Have you ever loved someone so much, even when they broke your heart? That's how Daniel felt. But he didn't know, the story wasn't over yet. Daniel focused on rebuilding. He started over, carving wood from morning till night. Sometimes he slept in his shop, but he never gave up. Slowly, customers began to return. His kind heart attracted people again. He didn't know that life was secretly preparing something big for him. Years passed. Daniel became stronger, wiser, and even more successful. His shop grew into a company called Daniel's Touch Furniture. People loved his work all over town. Reporters came to interview him. He began training young people who had no jobs, teaching them how to make chairs and tables. The same people who once pitied him now admired him. Daniel had found peace again. One day, while teaching his apprentices, a familiar voice called his name softly. He turned around and froze. It was Amara. Her eyes looked tired, her clothes worn, and her once shiny hair looked dull. She said in a trembling voice, "Daniel, can we talk?" The whole workshop went quiet. Everyone stared. Daniel's heart began to beat fast. It had been 5 years since she left him. Why was she back? Would you forgive someone who took everything from you and disappeared? Let's see what Daniel did next. They sat outside under a mango tree, the same place where they used to eat lunch together years ago. Amara held her hands tight, tears in her eyes. "Daniel," she began, "I made a mistake. I thought money would make me happy, but I lost everything. The man I left you for abandoned me. I have nothing left. Please, forgive me." Daniel looked at her quietly. His heart was torn. He remembered the pain, the nights he cried alone, the humiliation. He took a deep breath and said softly, "Amara, forgiveness is not hard, but trust takes time." Amara wept. "I don't need anything. I just need peace. I've learned my lesson." Daniel nodded. "You hurt me deeply, Amara. But I also learned something: never build your happiness on another person. Build it with God." That day, Daniel chose to forgive, not because she deserved it, but because he wanted to heal. Forgiveness doesn't mean weakness, it means strength. But what happened next shocked everyone in town. Daniel didn't take Amara back as his wife immediately. He let her stay in the workers' guest house and gave her small tasks to do. She began helping at the furniture factory, cleaning and serving tea. Slowly, the workers started to like her. She was humble now. Every Sunday, they went to church together. Amara prayed with tears, asking God to make her a better person. Over time, Daniel saw true change in her. The selfish woman he once knew had become kind, patient, and gentle. He didn't know if love could return, but he respected her transformation. Months later, the pastor called Daniel aside and said, "Son, sometimes God breaks us to remake us. Maybe this is not the end of your story, maybe it's a new beginning. But can true love rise again after betrayal?" Keep watching, the next part will melt your heart. My lovely viewers, if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please pause this story and hit the subscribe button. It encourages and keeps us going. The sun was rising gently over the small town when Daniel stepped out of his house, carrying a cup of tea in one hand. He stopped halfway when he saw Amara sweeping the compound. She was humming softly, the same song she used to sing when they were newly married. For a moment, his heart froze. Memories flooded back, memories of laughter, love, and betrayal. He quietly said, "Good morning." Amara looked up quickly. "Good morning, Daniel," she replied, bowing her head slightly. Her voice carried humility, but Daniel could still hear guilt inside it. 4 months now, Amara had been working in Daniel's company, not as his wife, but as one of his workers. She never complained, even when others whispered behind her back. She cleaned, served, and worked with quiet dedication. But deep inside, Daniel still fought his emotions. Part of him wanted to forgive completely, another part still felt the wound of betrayal. He turned to walk back inside, but suddenly Amara called out, "Daniel, can I speak to you tonight after work?" Daniel paused. "We'll see," he said softly. "Would you meet the person who broke your heart, alone, under the moonlight, just to hear what they have to say?" Stay tuned, because what Amara tells Daniel tonight will change everything. If you've ever forgiven someone who hurt you, comment "forgiveness heals" below. That night, after everyone left, Amara stood under the mango tree, waiting. She was nervous, holding a small book in her hand. Daniel approached quietly. The night was calm, only the sound of crickets filled the air. "Daniel," she began, "I know I hurt you beyond words. But please, let me read something to you." He nodded slightly. She opened the little book. It was her old diary. "This is from the day I left you," she said. "I want you to know I wasn't happy. I thought I'd find joy in riches, but instead, I found emptiness. Every night, I cried wishing I could go back. But pride kept me away." Her voice broke. When I lost everything, I realized the most valuable thing I had wasn't money, it was you. Tears fell from her eyes as she continued, Daniel, you gave me love. And I threw it away. I don't expect you to love me again. But I want you to know, I am truly sorry. Daniel didn't speak for a long time. The stars above twinkled softly, as if heaven was watching. Finally, he said quietly, Amara. I prayed that one day you'd understand what love really means. Maybe now you do. Amara nodded, still crying. Yes, I do. He sighed deeply. Let's take one step at a time. I don't know what the future holds, but forgiveness starts now. Daniel forgave her, but can forgiveness bring back love? Keep watching, the next morning brings a shock no one expected. The next day, something surprising happened. A reporter from the city came to interview Daniel about his growing business. As they filmed, the reporter noticed Amara serving water to the staff and whispered, Isn't that your ex-wife? The one who left you? Daniel smiled faintly. Yes, that's her. The reporter looked amazed. And you allowed her back? Daniel replied gently, Sometimes, kindness heals better than revenge. That clip went viral online. People began praising Daniel for his heart of forgiveness. Customers doubled overnight. But deep down, Daniel still wondered, was this forgiveness the end of their story, or the beginning of something new? As days turned into weeks, Amara's humility grew. She never asked Daniel for favors or luxury. She lived simply, worked hard, and treated everyone kindly. One morning, Daniel's younger sister, Chica, came to visit. Chica never forgave Amara for leaving her brother. When she saw her sweeping, her face hardened. So, you're back here pretending to be a saint? Chica sneered. After all the pain you caused? Amara looked down. I deserve your anger. I'm not pretending, Chica. I just want peace. Chica folded her arms. You want peace after destroying my brother's life? You think you can walk back and like nothing happened? Amara's eyes filled with tears. No. I can't erase the past. But I can change my future. Daniel stepped in quickly. Chica, enough. Chica turned to him. Brother, don't tell me you're falling for her again. Daniel said calmly, This isn't about falling. It's about healing. She's not the same woman. Chica shook her head. I hope you know what you're doing. She stormed out, leaving silence behind. Amara whispered softly, She's right, Daniel. Maybe I don't belong here. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Amara, people may not believe in your change immediately. True change takes time. Do you think people deserve a second chance after hurting someone? Tell me in the comments, yes or no. And don't go anywhere, because someone from Amara's past is about to return, and this time, he wants revenge. That evening, as Amara walked home from work, a car stopped beside her. Out stepped Tund, the man she left Daniel for. Amara, he smirked. So, this is where you've been hiding? Amara froze. Tund, what are you doing here? He laughed. I heard your poor ex is rich now. You're working for him? How pathetic. Amara's heart pounded. Leave me alone, Tund. I've changed. He stepped closer, whispering harshly, You'll never change. You belong to me. Suddenly, Daniel appeared from behind. No. She doesn't. Tund turned, startled. Oh, the famous furniture man. Still playing the saint, huh? Daniel's eyes were calm but firm. If you came here to cause trouble, you can leave now. Tund glared, hissed, and drove off. Amara trembled. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel said softly, You don't owe me thanks. Just stay strong. But that wasn't the last time Tund would show up. What he did next nearly destroyed everything again. Days later, strange things began happening at Daniel's factory. Furniture orders got cancelled, wood deliveries went missing, and rumors spread that Daniel was cheating customers. Then one evening, the police came to his office. "Mr. Daniel, we received reports that you've been using illegal materials. You're under investigation." Daniel's eyes widened. "What? That's impossible." But someone had sent false documents, and when Daniel saw the handwriting, his heart sank. It was Tund. Amara burst into tears when she found out. "He's trying to destroy you because of me." Daniel clenched his fists. "No, we'll fight this." The next day, the workers gathered, ready to defend their boss. "We know you're innocent, sir," they said. Together, they collected proof, receipts, and witnesses. After weeks of struggle, Daniel was cleared of all accusations. When the truth came out, the town turned against Tund. He fled, leaving behind shame and anger. Daniel looked at Amara, exhausted but relieved. "Now you see, Amara, some storms come to test your strength." Amara whispered, "And some storms come to clean our hearts." If you believe truth always wins, type "truth wins" in the comments below. But don't relax yet, something is about to happen that will test Daniel's forgiveness like never before. Weeks later, Daniel received shocking news. Tund had been arrested in another city and was seriously ill in prison. Amara was quiet when she heard. "He deserves it," one of the workers said. But Daniel shook his head. "Revenge isn't the answer." The next morning, Daniel did something no one expected. He visited Tund in prison. When he entered the cell, Tund looked up weakly. Why are you here?" Daniel replied softly, "To forgive you." Tund blinked in disbelief. "After everything I did?" "Yes," Daniel said. "Because holding hate will only poison me. I choose peace." Tund lowered his head, tears falling. "I don't deserve this." Daniel smiled faintly. "Neither do I. But grace isn't earned, it's given." When Daniel left, even the prison guards were speechless. Amara hugged him that evening and whispered, "You're teaching me what real love means." And just when everyone thought peace had returned, destiny surprised them again with something beautiful. You won't believe what happens next. One bright morning, Daniel walked into the factory to find Amara waiting at his desk. She looked nervous but happy. "Daniel," she said softly, "I want to show you something." She handed him a file. Inside were new designs for furniture, drawn beautifully by hand. "I've been learning from your workers," she explained. "I want to start a new department, Amara's Touch, for charity furniture. The profit will go to widows and single mothers." Daniel looked amazed. "You did this?" She nodded. "Yes. I want to use my second chance to help others." For a moment, Daniel just stared at her. The woman who once broke his heart was now helping others heal. He smiled slowly. "Then let's do it, together." Amara's eyes widened. "Together?" "Yes. Not as husband and wife yet, but as partners in purpose." She nodded, tears flowing freely. "Thank you, Daniel." Do you think Daniel should marry Amara again or remain friends forever? Comment your answer below. And don't miss the next part, because love's story isn't over yet, the biggest twist is still coming. Quick subscribe and other not to miss our stories. Daniel woke up early like he always did. The sky was pink and soft. Birds sang in the trees. He walked to his small kitchen and made tea. He looked at the plans Amara had given him. The drawings were full of gentle shapes, chairs like hugs, tables like friendly islands, cradles that looked safe and warm. Daniel smiled. He loved how something that broke could become beautiful. When the workers arrived, they gathered around like chickens around a warm light. Daniel stood before them and said, "Today we start something new. Amara will lead a project called Amara's Touch. It will make furniture for ladies who lost husbands, for single mothers, and for little babies who need warm beds." The workers clapped. They were happy to help. Some whispered, "Is she really ready?" Others said, "She has learned." Either way, everyone wanted to make something good. Amara came forward, holding her tools like a little knight held a sword. Her hands shook, but her eyes were steady. "I will work hard," she said. "I will make things with love." Daniel saw the truth in her voice. He nodded slowly. "Then we begin." They cleaned a corner of the factory and made a little room for the new team. Amara taught some simple designs. She drew pictures and told stories about the people who would use the furniture, a kind granny who baked for children, a mama who sang at night, and a little baby who needed to sleep safe. The workers listened and learned. Days came and went. The sun shined and then rained. The new furniture left the factory and went to small houses with smiles. When a single mother received a crib, she held the baby and cried quiet tears of joy. The town heard about it, and people started to bring small gifts to the factory: cloth, little toys, fruit. The project grew like a small seed that learned to be brave. One afternoon, a man from the town council visited. He looked around and said, "This is very good. You are helping our town." He offered a tiny grant to make more furniture. Daniel and Amara looked at each other. Their eyes met like two friends who had traveled a long road. No words were needed. They both felt hope. But not everyone was quiet and happy. Some people still whispered in corners, saying, "She once left him. What if she leaves again?" Daniel heard that. He walked to the river that night, where moonlight made silver fish shine. He spoke softly into the wind, "I will do what is right." The river moved and did not answer with words, but Daniel felt calm. Amara worked late into the night. She sanded a crib until it was smooth like a baby's cheek. She painted a small star on the headboard with a careful hand. As she worked, she remembered the days she ran away. Her chest felt heavy. She whispered, "I will not run. I will be brave." She thought about the single mother who would hold her baby and imagine a better story. One day, Daniel surprised everyone. He invited the mama of the little boy who used to sit on the shop steps and watch Daniel carve toys. Her name was Mama Saad. She came with a small basket of akara. Daniel handed her a chair he had made, a chair with a small carved heart on the back. "Take it," Daniel said. "For you and your son." Mama Saad smiled until her eyes sparkled. She hugged Daniel. People watched and some wiped tears. Amara saw this and felt a warm glow inside. She walked up to Daniel quietly and whispered, "Thank you for letting me help." Daniel put his hand on hers, not like before with fireworks and song, but like two people who know how to hold a hot cup of tea without spilling. "You are welcome," he said simply. They both turned back to their work. But life likes to twist like a river. One morning a little bundle arrived at the factory door. A small girl stood looking around with shy eyes. She held a letter. Daniel opened it and read. The letter said the girl's name was Titi. Her mama had passed away. She had no bed to sleep on. She hoped someone would make a bed with love. Daniel felt something small throb in his chest. He called the team. "Make a bed for Titi," he said. Amara took the lead. She drew soft curves and painted a moon on the headboard. While she worked, Titi watched with big, hungry eyes. When the bed was done, Amara tucked a little blanket into it by hand. Titi jumped and grabbed the blanket and hugged it like it was a kitten. That night, Daniel sat and watched the factory quiet under the moon. He thought, "We have begun a new thing. It will not be easy. But we will try." He did not know that seeds of a new dream can sometimes grow weeds of worry too. But for now, the garden was full of brave little sprouts, and hope smelled like fresh wood and paint. Do you like stories where people help others? Type helping hands in the comments and share the love. If you're enjoying Daniel and Amara's story, tap like and subscribe, more chapters coming soon. Don't miss what happens next. The wind turned colder. The sky was a little gray some mornings. People still loved the charity furniture, but now more voices in the market began to shout. They said silly things like, "Why give to others when your own house is not full?" Or, "She left him once, be careful." Some older men sat on benches and made long faces. They said, this will not last. You cannot trust people who leave. Daniel heard many of these words. He did not fight. He took them like rain. Sometimes rain waters flowers, sometimes it makes mud. He knew it would be hard for others to understand how forgiveness can be like a warm blanket. But he kept working. Amara felt the weight of every whisper. It made her shoulders ache as if stones had been placed on them. When she worked, she tried to be cheerful, but sometimes she cried in the storeroom where no one could see. She would whisper, I must be better. She would press her hand to the star on the crib and feel small and hopeful. One evening, a letter arrived, not from a friend, but from someone far away. The letter had big letters, invitation. It was from a city TV station. They wanted to come and film the story of the charity. They wanted to show the world how a broken house became a place that fixes other people's hurts. The letter smelled like shiny paper and big lights. Daniel read the letter and frowned. He thought, this could help us help more people. But it could also bring eyes that only look for mistakes. He looked at Amara. Her eyes were bright with a small fire. Let them come, she said. We will show them truth. We will not hide. They prepared. They cleaned the corners, painted nice signs, and made a tiny stage for a little speech. The day the TV came, a car with big lights rolled into the yard. A lady with a bright smile and red shoes walked out. She said, hello. We are here to tell your story. At first the cameras made the workers nervous. The lights were as bright as noon. But Amara spoke about Titi, about Mama Saad, and about the moon painted on the crib. She told the truth about the nights she cried and the days she learned. The camera caught her hands as they worked. The camera caught Daniel's calm face. The anchor asked, why did you forgive? Amara looked at Daniel and said, because hate is heavy and love is light. The TV story made people clap. Many called to help. Some sent money. Some sent warm quilts. The town felt proud. Things looked bright like the sun after a rainstorm. But when the story aired, so did other eyes, ones that liked to poke into pain like naughty monkeys. A small man from a different town called the station and told a lie. He said, I saw her with a man before she left. The station, hungry for more drama, asked more questions. They called the old neighbors. Some things that were untrue started to be said like they were true. People who watched at home began to mumble again. The whispers multiplied like little seeds that become weeds. Amara felt the stares. She knelt one night and prayed with a low voice. Please, make me strong, she said. Daniel sat beside her and placed his hand softly on her shoulder. He did not say many words. That small hand on her shoulder was like a warm blanket. She felt brave. But the town's mayor grew nervous. He feared that the charity would bring trouble he could not manage. He called Daniel to his office and said, people are talking. Be careful. Some of your patrons are worried. Daniel answered gently, we will be honest. We will fix anything that is wrong. The mayor left with a sigh, his forehead wrinkled like a folded map. Little by little, the TV eyes left, but the small seeds of doubt stayed. At the market, the old man laughed in low voices. A few customers looked away. Daniel felt the sting, but he did not let it hurt him like a thorn. He simply wrapped a bandage of work around his heart. He did more good, made more furniture, and kept a small kindness for anyone who came hungry. One rainy afternoon, Tun's name was heard again. A rumor said he had returned to town and was asking about Daniel. People said, he wants to fight. The whisper made a cold breeze in the hearts of everyone. Amara's hands trembled. She looked at Daniel and asked, what if he comes back to break more? Daniel put down his tools and looked at her with steady eyes. We will stand together, he said. We will not run. The words were simple but strong like a wooden post planted deep in the ground. That night the town slept under the same moon, but some hearts did not rest. They tossed like leaves in the wind. Amara prayed harder. Daniel worked later. The seeds of a new dream were still there, but the shadow of doubt had come to sit near the fence. They did not know when it would leave. For now, they kept planting and watering, even when the sky looked gray. Do you think Tund will cause more trouble? Type "no more trouble" in the comments if you believe love wins. If you want to see what happens when the shadow grows, hit subscribe now. The next chapter will be intense. Autumn leaves danced along the path to the factory. The days felt shorter and the nights whispered secrets. The town hummed with its usual noise, roosters, motorbikes, laughter, but something different simmered like a pot on slow fire. One afternoon, a tall man in a blue suit walked into the factory. He smelled of rich cologne and city rain. He had a small leather folder under his arm. He spoke with a soft voice that sounded like a storybook. "My name is Mr. Okoye. I represent a big hotel in the city. We want to buy many of your chairs and tables. We can pay a lot. We can also give you a contract for a whole year. Think of it. Your furniture in a big hotel, Daniel." The workers gasped. The town's eyes sparkled. This was a good thing. More money could mean more beds for children, more cribs for babies. Daniel nodded kindly and said, "We are thankful. We will do our best." But Mr. Okoye smiled and put the folder on the table. "There is one more thing," he said. "We want the designs made by a top team. We will need your best workers to move to the city. We will pay them very well. And the hotel would like Amara to leave and run the project there. She could be the face of your charity in the city. Think how many people you could help." The words landed like a warm pillow. Helping more people was a dream. Daniel felt a quick flutter in his chest like a bird flying into a room. He thought of the money, the quilts, the little beds. He thought of Titi's face when she got her bed. That night he took the offer home and looked at it like a big map. He turned it over and over. Amara saw him and asked softly, "What is it?" He told her the story. Amara's eyes became moonbright. "This could make the charity big," she whispered. "We could touch many more hearts." But Daniel held himself still. He thought of the factory, of the workers who had stayed, of Chica who was still wary, of Mama Saad who had no travel money. If he sent the workers to the city, some might never return. If Amara went, some people might think she was running away again. The thought made Daniel's forehead crease. Mr. Okoye called again and again. He called with tempting promises, paint that never chips, tools that cut like song, and money that could fill the town purse. He painted a picture of bright lights and big stages. The picture was pretty and loud. Daniel could have it, but it might cost something that looked small, trust left behind like a forgotten toy. Amara walked the line of pallets in the factory and thought of the city. She dreamed of helping more people. She also remembered the nights she had nowhere to sleep. She said, "Daniel, perhaps this is our chance." Her voice sounded hopeful and a little scared. The workers gathered. Some cheered for the city. Some were afraid to leave their families. Chica came to Daniel and said, "If you go, be careful. I don't want you to lose what you have built." Daniel looked at her and hugged her. "We will decide together," he said. Then something else happened. A quiet man came to the factory with a small notebook. He said, "My name is Pastor Uche. I have a request. There is an old woman in the far village. She needs a strong bed. She has no one left. She cannot travel to town. Can you make it and deliver it?" It was a small request. The workers looked at each other. The big hotel offer glowed in their minds like a bright star, but this old woman's need was like a little lantern that could not be ignored. Daniel felt his heart pinch. He thought about the choice. He could accept the hotel and maybe forget small needs, or he could keep the factory humble and close and help neighbors one by one. He felt that tug in his chest, a tug between dream and promise, between faraway lights and the familiar roof over their heads. At night, watching the moon like a silent friend, Daniel talked to Amara. If we go to the city, he said, we may never come back the same. If we stay, we may never grow big. What matters more, size or soul? Amara took his hand and said, I want to help as many as I can, but I do not want to leave the people who stood with us. Her voice was honest as rain. Daniel looked at her and felt something warm bloom inside. The tug in his chest loosened a little. Then we will be careful, he said. We will say yes to the hotel only if our people will not be left behind. They decided to ask Mr. Okoye to meet the team and share his plans with everyone. When the man returned and saw the workers, he frowned at first. He did not like to wait on small hands. But slowly he listened. The workers told him about Titi and about Mama Saad and about how every worker had children and mothers who needed them. Mr. Okoye tapped his fingers and finally said he would make a plan to help the workers who stayed and to support those who left. He even offered to pay for training back in the town. It sounded nice. But then the small banana seller at the gate came running with a message. Tund is here, he gasped. He says he will take what he wants. The words were small but sharp, like a splinter. The workers froze. The city man gulped and said, Oh. That is unfortunate. He looked around nervously. The night grew heavy. A storm was coming, not one with thunder, but one of choices and tests. Daniel closed his eyes and whispered, Please help us choose right. Amara pressed her hand to his chest and felt his heartbeat. The sound was steady. She knew then that no matter what big lights promised, the bravest thing would be to keep their promises to people who believed in them. That decision would not be easy, but Daniel and Amara decided it together. They slept with a small prayer on their lips and a big question inside. Could they follow a dream and still hold the hands of those who loved them? If you were Daniel, would you take the big city offer or stay to help the town? Type city or town below. Subscribe now. The next chapter will show whether dreams can be balanced with promises. Don't miss it. Morning came with a soft blue sky. The factory buzzed. The town hummed like a giant bee. Mr. Okoye had stayed the night in the guest room. He wore a suit that smelled like apples and rain. He called a meeting and asked everyone to sit. Even Chika came, though she sat in a corner with her arms folded like a guard. Mr. Okoye began, I like honesty. If you come to the city, I promise you steady work and good pay. We will train your people. We will set up a small office back here so you will have a bridge. I will also give a donation to your charity. His voice was sweet like syrup. The workers listened with bright eyes. Then one by one, the workers spoke. A young man named F said, If I go, my mother will have no one to sell akra in the morning. A woman named Ifeoma said, I have 3 children. I cannot leave them. Someone else said, I want to learn more. I want to go and help more people. The room filled with many voices, soft and brave. Daniel looked at each face. He felt each story like a small stone in his pocket. He thought, if I take the offer, some faces will be joyful and some will be left behind. He felt weight in his heart, heavier than any plank of wood he ever carried. Amara stood and said, We will make a rule. Those who choose to go will get help to build a life. Those who stay will get support too. We will make sure no one is left hungry. Her voice was firm like a drum. The room quieted. Everyone felt the gentle promise. Mr. Okoye nodded and wrote it down like someone making a promise with a pen. Then the hardest part came. Daniel had to say what he would do. The workers watched. Chika held her breath. Daniel looked at Amara. He thought of the stars that once guided him when he lost his way. He thought of the little bed he had crafted for Titi. He thought of the nights of laughter and the nights of tears. He thought of the man he had become. Not just a maker of furniture, but a keeper of people's hearts. I will not go alone, Daniel said. I will keep this factory. I will send a team to the city, led by Amara and 2 others who wish to go. The rest will stay and we will build a small training center here, funded by the hotel. We will do this together. His voice shook a little, not with fear, but with the huge truth of the choice. Some cheered. Others sighed. Chica came forward and hugged Daniel tightly. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. Amara's eyes were wet with small tears that felt like spring rain. She walked to Daniel and took his hand, not in a way that said, "Come back to me as a husband," but in a way that said, "We will do good together." Mr. Okoye smiled and said, "Then let us make it happen." He called the city the next day and started the nice papers. There were forms and stamps, big grown-up things that made everyone tired but also excited. But the town's peace did not last a whole week. One morning Chica went to the market and heard someone say, "They will leave anyway. She will take his best and then leave." Chica's anger flared. She had protected Daniel like a sister bird protects its chick. She could not imagine losing him to a city of bright lights. She marched back and asked Daniel, "Are you certain he will keep his word? What if Mr. Okoye leaves us with nothing?" Daniel looked at her kindly. "We will make it work," he replied. "Promises must be watched over with love." As the day to send the first team came, the town gathered to wave goodbye like they were sending a small boat onto the sea. There were hugs and gifts and small gifts wrapped in brown paper. Mama Saad brought Accra and cried. Titi clung to Amara's skirt and would not let go for a long time. Amara hugged her like a mother bird and whispered, "I will come back soon." When the van left for the city, Daniel felt a hole in his chest like when a tooth falls out. He missed the sounds of the workers who had always been there. He sat down and watched the road until the dust joined the sky. He turned back to the factory and found it silently waiting like a friend. He had to be brave now. Days became a rhythm. The city sent pictures of big rooms with shining floors where Amara's touch furniture gleamed. Daniel received messages that showed happy faces and new beds being made. The small training center in town opened and echoed with laughter as children learned to hold tools. Money came in and quilts and warm jackets. Things looked good. But a small, dark storm was brewing. A rumor spread like spilled milk. "The hotel's manager is not a good man," whispered someone. "He asks for designs at night and wants quick work." Daniel felt the rumor like a cool wind. He went to the new office in the city to check. He saw some things he liked: safety, good machines. He also saw a file where designs were being copied and used in the market without permission. He frowned. He knew a hard lesson: promises must be guarded. That night, he called Amara. She was on a small rooftop, looking at the big city lights. She sounded tired but happy. "We are helping many," she said. Daniel told her about the copies. She frowned and said, "We will fix it. We will protect our work." Her voice was brave and sure. Back in the town, Chica finally admitted something she had kept. She was afraid of losing Daniel's heart again, not to a person, but to a bright shiny life that could make him forget small things. Daniel laughed softly and promised, "I will not forget our home." He meant it. The choice had hurt, sending people to the city and staying with others, but the choice had healed too. It healed by making everyone decide together and by letting promises become actions. Daniel learned that dreams are not only about reaching far, they are also about holding hands on the path. The night the first load returned from the city, there was a small welcome. People danced with small drums and sang. It felt like both a beginning and a promise. The seeds planted earlier were now growing a little taller. But storms still circle at the edge of every garden. Daniel knew this. He also knew he would stand and keep the fence strong. Do you think Daniel and Amara made the right choice? Comment yes or no and tell us why. If you love this story, share it with a friend. The next chapter will bring a secret from the past that could change everything. The welcome party had ended and the laughter had faded like soft drumbeats. People went home carrying small gifts and warm feelings. Daniel sat on a low bench near the gate and watched the moon make a silver path across the road. He felt tired but proud. Then a stranger arrived at the gate. He was not tall, but his eyes were like small stones, shiny and secret. He carried a small cloth bundle and walked slowly toward Daniel. "Sir," he said politely, "I have something for you." He opened the cloth and showed a small wooden box. It was old and worn, with tiny carvings of leaves. Daniel took the box and felt cold fingers of memory wrap around his hand. He did not know why the box felt familiar until the stranger whispered, "This was left by someone who used to love you. She said you would find it when you were ready." Daniel sat down heavily. He opened the box. Inside was a small photograph wrapped in tissue paper and an old key. The photograph was of Daniel and a younger Amara, both laughing on a rainy day long ago, their heads close, mugs of warm tea in their hands. On the back of the photo was a note, "To Daniel, may you always remember that even broken things can become stars." Daniel's heart beat quickly. He remembered a day he had lost this box, long before the troubles. He remembered how Amara had once given him a promise hidden in small wood. He felt a deep thing stir inside. He looked up at the stranger. "Where did you find this?" Daniel asked softly. The man said, "I found it in an old market stall. The woman who sold it said it belonged to someone who left. She thought it was for sale, but there was something in the box that seemed heavy with meaning. She thought you should have it." Daniel thanked him and the stranger left like a ghost. The photograph felt like a map. Daniel turned it and read the note again. He held the key between his fingers. He did not know what door the key opened, but his chest felt like it suddenly had room to breathe. Amara came and sat beside him. She saw the box and her hands trembled. "I remember this," she whispered. "I thought I had lost it forever." Her voice was soft as a prayer. Daniel placed the photograph into her hands. Her eyes filled with tears. She kissed the picture like a child would kiss a picture of a beloved toy. That night, they talked about the past, the days when happiness was simple and the future was a rainbow. They shared quiet laughs and quiet sorrows. Daniel told Amara about the fear he had of losing his heart again to shiny things. She listened. "I am not that person anymore," she said. "I am learning to be better. I want to help, not to take." Her hands were steady and honest. But the secret in the box was not only the photograph. There was also a small letter hidden under the photograph. Daniel opened it with care. It was from Amara, but not the Amara who had left. It was from the Amara who had written to herself a long time ago, a promise page tucked away for a time when she would need to remember why she loved. The letter read simply in small words, "If I ever forget what matters, I will read this. I will remember the smell of his workshop, the sound of him humming, and the way one small chair made a little boy smile. I will be brave and come back." Daniel held the letter against his chest. He understood then that the person who left had also been broken and had written a map back to kindness for herself. In the days after the photograph returned, the town watched differently. The eyes that once watched with suspicion now watched with softer light. People who had been loud with their words were quieter. Chica still watched with a careful heart, but she also found herself helping more often, carrying boxes and teaching a small class in the training center. But not everything was calm. One morning a delivery came with a big envelope. Inside were blueprints, designs for a machine that could cut wood fast. It was a nice machine, and the note said it was from a friend in the city who believed in Daniel's mission. Daniel saw the machine and felt tempted. It could save hours and make more beds. But he also knew machines can take away the art, the soft edges and the small hearts carved by hand. He called a meeting and asked, "Should we use the machine?" Voices rose and fell. Some said yes. Some said no. Chica said, "If the machine replaces our hands, a little of our love will disappear." Daniel nodded. He realized his job was to keep balance like a careful baker. He made a rule: they would use the machine for rough cuts but keep the final touch to handwork. The machine would not be used to hurry love away. Everyone agreed. It was a compromise that made some people grin and others breathe easier. One night a small boy from the next street sneaked into the yard and hid behind sacks of rice. He watched them work and saw Amara carve a small toy elephant for TT. The boy felt hunger and waited until everyone left. He came and found a small bowl with soup. Daniel, who had been walking back from the gate, saw the boy and sat down and shared his food. The boy's eyes grew wide with surprise and then turned soft like melted chocolate. He said, "Thank you, mister." Daniel smiled and said, "You are welcome." These small acts piled like pebbles into a path people could walk on when the road looked wet. The secret in the box had done something gentle. It had reminded people that even when the past hurt, the future could be a place to plant small good things. But secrets like this often bring other things to light. One evening a woman came with a child and a red ribbon. She spoke softly, "My name is Nkechi. I was the one who found the box in the market. I thought it was a sign. I am sorry if my find made trouble, but I kept thinking someone would need it more than me." She looked at Amara and then at Daniel. "I wanted to give it back." Amara took her hand and gave her a small wooden spoon she had carved. "Thank you," she said. The spoon was simple, carved with a small flower. Nkechi smiled. She had brought more than the box, she brought the town together by the small thread of an old memory. The secret in the box changed many things. It did not fix everything. It did not make every whisper quiet. But it opened small doors in people's hearts. It made them remember that hurt people can try to be good again. And, most of all, it reminded Daniel and Amara why they had begun, to make beds where babies sleep safe, to make chairs where old people sit with gladness, and to build a place where people could be brave. That night Daniel and Amara sat with the photograph and looked at the road that led out of town. They did not say the final words. The story was not done. There were still many skies to cross, many choices to make, and many nights to hold each other's hands. But they had found something small and precious, a secret that lay beneath, like the root of a tree that keeps it standing in the wind. My lovely people, if the story made you smile, tap like and leave a heart emoji red heart in the comments. Share this story with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. The journey is still unfolding. See you in the next episode. God bless you and we love you all. Please let us know the country you're watching for.